Seton Hall Pirate basketball is just a vibe. And this past week, the vibe just got a serious upgrade. Let's vibe. Welcome back to Pirate Vibes, where the hardwood meets the hype. I'm your host, Brian Webster, and today we've got big news that could shift the power dynamics in the Big East and help out Seton Hall rise out from the basement. Jacob Dar is officially a Seton Hall Pirate from Rice transfer portal. We're talking about one of the most efficient, battle-tested wings in the portal. So let's talk about what Dar brings, how he fits, and why this might be the most important offseason addition yet for the Pirates. Jacob Dar isn't a portal pickup. He's a problem. He's a 6'7" wing from Omaha, Nebraska, who played last season at Rice after spending time in the D2. He's long, physical, and brings that chip on the shoulder energy that fits perfectly with Shaheen Halloway's culture. A kid that works hard and isn't getting the publicity that so many of the others are getting. Jacob Dar screams like a Coach Shaw guy. A D2 guy that works his way up, that's hardworking, trying to keep going forward, fits this mold perfectly. Let's hit you some real numbers for Jacob Dar. In his last 10 games, Dar averaged 11 points per game while shooting 40% from three. Seton Hall shot 31% from three last year. Or you can rank them as 322nd best in the nation. They're closer to the bottom, right? About 40 away from the bottom than even being in the middle of the pack. More impressively about Dar, against the winning teams, Dar raised his game. He averaged more points and shot at a higher clip versus the teams above 500 on the schedule for the Rice Owls. And we know we'll be seeing more winning teams, bigger games in the Big East. So if he's going against the UCONNs of the world, the Creightons of the world, the St. John's of the world, he seems to like the big games. And if you're wondering how he holds up against elite competition like those programs I just mentioned, let's talk about February 18th against Memphis, the big dog in the American Conference. The same Memphis team that knocked off UConn, right? Rice lost by 3 points. Rice was an under 500 team. But Dar went toe-to-toe with Penny's team. He dropped 17 points on 4 of 10 shooting, including 3 of 5 from deep. Think about that. A guy that wasn't hitting his 2-pointers as at a high effective rate, 4 of 10 is still 40%. We'll take it. But 3 of 5 were from deep. So he was 1 of 5 from 2. So on a night when he couldn't get to the rim, he was able to still hit his jump shots against the same defense. He grabbed 8 rebounds, 5 of them offensive, which is huge for an undersized team like Seton Hall right now that's thin on the front court. And then he threw in 3 blocks, so he's playing defense too. That performance was so impressive. Penny Hardaway tried to recruit him in the portal. Obviously, Shaw got him because he's with Seton Hall. Penny always has an eye for talent. We all know this. And will reach out to his type of guys, and he's very heavy on the recruiting. He's very convincing to these younger athletes. But guess what? He's a Seton Hall guy. Dar's not just a shooter. He's a big game hunter. Let's talk about how he torched some of the best teams in the American Athletic Conference outside of the big dog Memphis. Against North Texas, the conference's second best team, Dar poured in 16 points on 7 of 9 shooting with 8 boards. 7 of 9 shooting, right? So he was driving to the cup. So obviously he can drive to the cup. We just talked about in Memphis, he was hitting his threes. He wasn't driving to the cup effectively, so he was able to knock down a shot. Well, against North Texas, he was able to drive to the cup, go 7 of 9 of shooting, like I just said, and have 16 points. 8 boards, 4 offensive rebounds. We always talk about the rebounds for this wing player. Against UAB, the third place squad in the conference. He went nuclear, man. 24 points, 9 of 12 shooting, 4 of 7 from 3. Think about that. 9 of 12 shooting and above 50% from threes. That's crazy. That's something that Seton Hall missed a lot last year. He had 6 boards, so another game with boards against big competition, 2 assists and 2 blocks. So he's consistently against good teams, the better teams that he saw on his schedule, effective, defensive, rebounding, and shooting threes. That's a Seton Hall Pirate right there, if I've ever heard of him. This isn't empty calorie scoring, right? These are efficient, impactful, game altering performances against NCAA tournament caliber teams. So while the average fan might not know his name all across the country, the coaches do, the scouts do. He's heavily contacted during the portal, and Seton Hall fans are about to, including all the rest of the Big East schools. This is a giant ad. I can't express this enough. I put out my depth chart, my projected depth chart based off of who I like. Obviously, Shaw's got a different opinion probably of me than I do. But this is a guy that could play defensively 1 through 4, and we'll go into it more. He could play 1 through 4, effective scoring, loves big games. Sounds like a perfect fit. Coming up after the break, how does Dar fit even more with Seton Hall? And where do we go from here after the Dar signing? This is Pirates Vibe. Welcome back to Pirates Vibe on the Big East Energy Network. I'm your host, Brian Webster. Before we get into the final segment, we talk about how the fit is for Jacob Dar. I'm going to talk about our sponsor. Asbestos Spice is a proud sponsor of the Big East Energy Network. I'm going to give you the story, a little backstory of your host, Brian Webster. I'm a dad of 2 with a real estate agent as a spouse. We're always in the run on the evenings. Either she's got a showing, or my kids are at the gym or on the field. Dinner could be at 4:30 p.m. or 9:30 p.m. when we all sit down together. Sitting down together is a meal requirement for us at least once a day in the Webster household. But we're always in a hurry, like I said. What is a quick meal that kids love? I know parents that are watching the show will know, oh, we'll name this, this, and this. Tacos, man. Tacos. Tacos. My kids like a little kick with their taco in their ground beef for their taco meat. And Asabasa Sabrosa taco blend knocks the open jumper down with the perfect blend of spice to perfect the taco. My kids love it. We tried it on Monday. We just got it in. We tried it on Monday, and the kids are already asking for tacos once again. So if you're tired of the mass-produced spice envelopes that come with the taco kits, try Asbestos Spice. Go to asbestosspice.com/BEE and use checkout code BIGFLAVOR15 for 15% off your first order. That's ASABASA.com/BEE for those savings. Asbestos Spice Company, where fire meets flavor. Welcome back to Pirate Vibes. Now let's talk about Jacob Dar and the right guy, how he is the right guy at the right time. We all know Coach Shaw's blueprint is clear, right? We probably could figure out his blueprint from his playing days, but as a coach, the last few years here at Seton Hall and at St. Peter's, for those that followed, it's very clear: toughness, defense, versatility. Now let's add some shot making. And Dar checks every single box. He's the best shooter on Seton Hall's roster currently, period. Anyone that disagrees with that analysis for the current roster can go argue a wall, because I'm not gonna entertain that argument because it's clear. As a shooter, he'll open up the floor for Bud Clark's playmaking. We'll touch on Bud Clark in a future episode. I know I've promised that the last 3, but news keeps happening. I really want to dedicate a complete episode to Bud Clark because I think he is the engine to this season, because he is an undersized guard that loves to drive to the rim, make plays. Sounds a lot like our head coach. Going back to Jacob Dar, he can guard multiple positions. He rebounds very effectively. I talked about the big games that he had. Every big game, he had 6 rebounds. And coming off of the wing spot, I'll take that. And he competes on every single possession. Watch the film. He's competing. One of the biggest assets that Dar brings to the table for the Seton Hall Pirates is floor spacing. Last year, Seton Hall struggled with floor spacing. Dar solves that. He solves that by himself when he's on the floor. He makes defenses think twice about sagging off. He forces closeouts, and he punishes mistakes. Watch the film. I put that on my Twitter. There's a highlight tape, and I know it's highlight tape, but if we can get him on a consistent basis to play like that, Dar's going to be a star. Star. I saw a poll out there on Twitter asking for a nickname. I don't have a nickname yet, but Dar is going to be a star. So Seton Hall is getting a 3-level scorer who rises up in big games. And that's the kind of player that could swing a season from a 7-win to a tournament team. I'm not guaranteeing a tournament because that's a large jump, right? That's a very large jump. But it's about the momentum that Dar brings. Dar's addition brings momentum to the Seton Hall Pirates. We've now added Bud Clark, one of the best driving point guards, as I said, and now Jacob Dar, one of the best shooters in the portal. There's a serious 1-2 punch to reshape this team's offensive identity. An identity that was toothless last year. It shows recruits that Seton Hall, Shaw, and staff aren't playing defensive-only basketball. They actually have a plan, and they're building a complete team. More than that, it shows that Shaheen, Halloway, and his staff can identify talent. Doesn't matter if it's on the lower levels, develop relationships, and close deals in a competitive portal market. Don't be surprised if this pickup leads to 1 or 2 more dominoes falling. Players want to play with guys like Dar that go hard every single time. Let's call it like it is. Jacob Dar is a steal. A steal may be an over exaggeration because he is not. He made the choice, so it's not a steal. A steal may be an over exaggeration, but Dar may be that money ball option. That kind of steal. An upperclassman who's undervalued in the market. That's the type of steal that Jacob Dar could be. He shows up against top tier teams. As I said, he's efficient, he's clutch, and he's coming to Seton Hall with something to prove in the Big East. That's the kind of addition that can help turn around Seton Hall. That's the type of guy that Shaw needs to get. I don't think there was a guy last year, and I could be wrong, and I'm sure someone will point it out, that you can look at him and go, you know what? That's the perfect fit. Last year, it seemed like a lot of pieces, and you're just trying to figure out how to put it all together. This feels like, hey, guess what? You know, when you're building a big puzzle, you always work on the outside, right? That's what people always tell you. This feels like one of those outside pieces. This feels like you're able to put the puzzle together because you have this piece. This is the kind of addition that can turn it around from that disastrous 2024-25 season. The kind of player that can win a Big East road game in February. Shots aren't falling because he will be efficient and get a shot in. 2s or 3s. I told you against North Texas, he was driving to the cup. Against UAB, he was hitting his 3s. So if you're hyped about this pickup, make sure you're following me on Twitter at Pirates Vibe 89 and on YouTube at the Big East Energy Network. We've got a lot of big plans coming. Obviously, we got a Seton Hall, Creighton, UCONN show. We got a Big East Weekly show. Building more and more here at the Big East Energy Network, and I'm excited to be a part of this journey. We're going to talk Seton Hall basketball. We're going to rep some Pirates a little bit more. Drop a comment on your favorite thing about Dar, or let me know, is this the best shooter Shaw's ever recruited to Hall? That's it for today's episode, Pirate fans. I'm your host, Brian Webster. As always, Seton Hall basketball is just a vibe. Keep up with that vibe. Stay true, stay blue, and vibe on.
Ahoy there! Ahoy, me hearties!